We're here with at CPAC Mexico with the president of Mis amigos migrantes, pues aquí estoy.
Total catastrophe, and it is a crisis.
Of a child right there. All these NGOs, you're fake. It is this, the crisis of children.
Thank you so much for joining in. Oscar Blue for Real America's Voice News. I put a couch right here in the back. More as a podcast kind of a, talk, situation. Wanted to go live and basically be more in hand when talking to you guys. The whole topic of today, the UN, it is lying. The UN is lying. Why? And I will tell you why. The number one reason why it is they just released a statement saying that on the year 2024, check this out. On the year 2024, only 8,900 and some fraction lives got lost. And to be honest, it's 8,900 and what? 900 and hold on. 8,938. That is what they're saying. 8,938. Press 1 if you believe that is BS. Press 2 if you believe that is accurate. Press 3 if you think that that is a complete insult to humanity and it is completely crimes against humanity. I will see your answer. Right now. We have been going through all these routes, and we have done multiple routes in several different places through the whole continent. Borders with Guatemala, Nicaragua, Honduras, El Salvador, Costa Rica, Panama, Colombia, Venezuela. Borders with Ecuador. And we have seen the catastrophe and the crisis, how it looks. We have actually studied and understood how this crisis comes about. We have seen that. And in our years of studying this and seeing this firsthand, being in the most dangerous place for migrants, that is the Darian Gap, and seeing that 4 times. And seeing on caravans, multiple caravans that we have walked, more than 12, we get to understand one thing. The United Nations is the number one complicit organization of this. Of people dying. It is the number one organization which should be held accountable for crimes against humanity, and also for incentivizing people to walk through the most dangerous places and incentivizing them to walk through places where there is illegal and it is illicit to do it. We got to understand that with time. It was not a thing that it was just, it's not a thing, for me, it was not a thing that it came just on the first day. which I started covering immigration, right? Because when I started covering immigration, I started seeing all these progressive liberal activists coming into Tijuana, and I was like, what the hell these guys are doing over here? Like, what is their whole point? What is their whole idea? Like, what the hell they're doing over here? Who are they to have the right to be rioting and looting on a building in Tijuana? Like, who in the hell they think they are? But it took me, it took me a little while to understand. When I started understanding, I started opening up more the window to where this huge problem originated from. Then it started like understanding the global compact on migration, how this opens up borders. And this is when I started to understand. Okay, there's a comment right here. There's a comment that you're using my phrase. If God's plan is our mission, God's plan is our mission. That's my slogan. Yeah. Then no one is illegal unless they committed an actual crime. It has nothing to do. God's plan is our mission. It has nothing to do with immigration. Let me just address this comment because that's my slogan. It has nothing to do with immigration. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So I would like to, when I started understanding about how this was happening, then you started opening up and started, analyzing like this is done on purpose. Like this is done on purpose. So I decided to start going to these caravans, right? At south of the border. And then when I started seeing these NGOs operate, that they were not doing squat. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. They were not doing anything to be more explanatory. They were not doing anything. That's just their normal help. Let me cure your feet. Let me help you with little water. But to fix the actual crisis, they were not doing anything. So I started understanding a little bit more. Like, wow, these organizations, they're sucking the teeth of this human misery. And they're making millions out of this. Wow. These NGOs are being put strategically at the border just to incentivize people to cross illegally and live out of federal grants. Wow. Then I started expanding more South America. My brother and I, Ben Berquam and myself, and we started understanding deeper, now more deeper, right? Then we took the audacity to cross the Darian Gap, not even once, 4 times. Then we huge a dig hole and we understood everything. At the end of the day, when we study all of this, possibly like a few journalists in the world, I would like to tell you, there's a side about the mass migration that which we need to understand, that is the problems and the economical infrastructure and the disaster that they have in their countries in terms of violence, economical disaster, and a lot of things, right? That they come with their countries. That's one of the reasons why they migrate. But the other side is what they were trying to do to the United States of America. It's completely destroy their borders, flood their borders, search the borders, like Joe Biden said in his debate with Donald Trump the first time that he ran, the first time and the only time that he ran for president. And then later on, you start understanding that it was part of the plan, part of the 2030 agenda. So now you understand how the cartels are taking advantage, how this is just a system and it's just a way for them to completely take advantage of this situation. So you start understanding a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. And then you compile all of this with people that they have a vast experience, statistically outside of the Darian, people that they have been there for years reporting on it. So you gather all these information and like, man, these animals, man, these NGOs, these international organizations, they're the problem. The reason why I'm saying is that because they released a statement. Bose Media released this article. And it says that in the year 2024, people, 8,938 people only died. That is a blatant lie. That is such an insult to humanity because you're the ones that made this disaster. And now you're telling us that 8,938 people, it looks, and you say that it's record breaking, but it looks low. Why? Because you're trying to cover up the mess that you created. And it's an absolute disaster and an absolute mess. What you guys created with your open border policies and the implementation of this global compact that opened up the borders first in Europe and now over here in the continent of America. And now you're trying to release a statement by saying, oh, it was only 8,938. Don't even worry about it. So record breaking, yes. But it has nothing to do with us. We're just saying the truth. This is the devil right here, man. I'm sorry. I got to categorize it like that. This is the enemy of humanity, really. They say that they do a lot, but they don't do nothing. You don't see the United Nations or you don't see OIM or you don't see the UNHCR in the middle of the Darian Gap helping people. You're never going to see them. You never saw them walking with the migrants and carrying children. You never see them teaching the migrants of how to do the process correctly. Yeah, you know what? Don't go over there, man. We had campaigns, Oscar, and we were putting it on our social media and on our webpage. Yeah, I'm talking about going legitimately to where they're crossing and say, hey, no. Right here, no. It's over there. Why? Because you're going to pay the cartel to cross. That's illegal. That's illicit. And you're risking your life, most importantly. But you never saw them, with this. Now they want to release a statement that 8,938 people have died in the year 2024. It is stupid. The number is completely an insult, really, to the actual situation of this crisis. And I'm going to tell you something. Knowing that we were in the Darian Gap, knowing that I have been in there 4 times, I can tell you, and I can be honest on telling you this. The Panamanian government has had so much difficulty, not because they're incapable. It's because of the infrastructure and the geographics inside of the jungle to identify how many decomposed bodies or where people have died. It is impossible to dig them out. Some of them are so impossible to dig them out. I'm being honest. There is a level of impossible to dig bodies out from the Darian Gap. And I'm not even lying about it. I remember there's a power. Sorry about that. There was a pathway. I hit the cable accidentally. There's a pathway that is called in the Mountain of Death, and it's almost close to the limitations between Panama and Colombia. And there's a pathway that is less than a meter from the length and it's long, about what, 50 meters, 100 meters, and it has a decline, a mortal decline, and you're on top of 2,200 feet. When you're crossing through that pathway, it smells of decomposed body. I'm not even lying. It smells of decomposed body. And the migrants had categorized that place as the migrant cemetery. That's how they have categorized that place, as a migrant cemetery. So the thing that happens there is that a lot of these cartels from Colombia, they used to smuggle them through that particular place, and sometimes late at night. So the migrants, they didn't have no lamps. So sometimes it was raining, and it was, sometimes it was raining, and it was really difficult to walk. So they will slip and they will fall. Some of the families with their children, some of the families alone, women alone, men alone. So it smelled a lot, like decomposed body. A lot like decomposed body. Those are the bodies that are really difficult to recover. So the Panamanian government had, an infrastructure of money, and they spent so much money to help to rescue military choppers, rescue choppers, all of this stuff. And we were extracted from the Darian on our second journey because there was a massive shootout, and we recorded that. And we were extracted. Then on our fourth journey, we were inserted on a helicopter. So we did the extraction and the insertion. So when you're extracted, there's so much that the Panamanian government was paying out of their own pockets. Remember, this was not their responsibility. This was Biden creating this crisis and telling people, yeah, you know what? I'll receive you. So you got to go through the Darien. That's where you got to go. You got to go. So when they were dying, people were dying. The Panamanian government, out of their own pocket money, they were sending these choppers all the way inside through the Darian Gap. And when they got there, the choppers, they extracted the people, but not all of the time that we're extracting hundreds. They can't do that. So a lot of the times that we're dying, people drowned. You can see actually bodies that they were eaten up by, alligators or crocodiles. There was a lot of things. Really bad stuff. Then you have the migration to the Mediterranean Sea. That is actually another catastrophe of a place that is horrible. People from Africa migrating through the Mediterranean Sea. Then you have the place in Ceuta, Spain, border with Morocco, another deadliest place. Then you have the migration that is occurring right now from Ukraine, Poland, because of the war. Then you have the other migration, Palestinians migrating. And you come out with this ridiculous number. You come out with this ridiculous number of 8,936 people that they died migrating. It's just an insult to humanity itself. The United Nations, you don't have no shame. I understand now your mode operandi after 8 years of covering you. I really understand now how you operate. And it's just disgusting. Wherever you go, there's a crisis. You go and you suck on the teeth of the suffering, and you make it look like you're bringing a bunch of bunk beds and some food, and you're offering some, you put a trailer and you offer some school for the kids and stuff like that. You invest so little, but you suck on the teeth of the human misery. That's what you do. Somebody's asking, the UN is still operating in Panama. Oh, yeah. That's their mecca of operations. Huge in the city of knowledge. The data used to be yours, by the way, the Americans. It's crazy. Then you come out with this statement saying that 8,938 people have died only in the year 2024. 8,000 people, that may be a conservative number, sadly. It is not a conservative number. It is a ridiculous number. That is not an actual number. They're giving out that number because they want to actually cover up the disaster that they have created, and they need it to go up a little bit historically, to say, breaking the record, to say, by like what, 1,000. But if we actually knew how much and how many people have died under this agenda, that is the United Nations agenda, we're talking about thousands and thousands and thousands, not 8,938, thousands and thousands and thousands. You know, I have been saying this, and everybody knows this, right? The UN is the United States of America is the number one funder of the United Nations. We already know that. You know, but since the USAID cut off, now they don't know what to do. And to catch attention and to see that, you know, this is a crisis and it was a crisis and we need to recover, they need to make this. They're putting up now statements because they want to catch attention for them to have funds to recover from this disaster that they created with all this globalist compact on migration. Somebody saying we'll never know the true numbers and it's scattered worldwide. Yeah. And you know, to be honest, I just told you in the Darian Gap, not even authorities of Panama know how many people they have died inside that jungle. You're not talking about 20, 30 people. No. Just on the year 2023 alone, the people that they counted, the people that they were registered on the villages and camps in outside of the Darian Gap were surpassing 523,000 people. More than 500,000 crossed through that place. The ones that they registered and the ones that they counted. Talk about the ones that they never registered. Imagine that. A complete disaster. This is a complete lie, you know, and more than that, it's just an embarrassment. It's a statement that is completely an embarrassment to the actual reality of this problem. To be honest with you guys. Just to be honest with you guys. It's just a disaster, and really it's an embarrassing number. Why they don't say the truth? Why they don't say it was 20,000? Because they know if they say that, they're going to get hardly criticized. To say, where in the hell were you then? What the hell were you doing? Where is all the money that we give it to you to rescue these people, to do your job? So you have to go conservatively insulting the number. Why? Because if they say the truth, if they say the actual truth, that they were surpassing 10,000, 20,000, they're going to get actually horribly criticized and attacked. They say, like, hey, what the hell you were doing? Like, what were you doing, really? To be honest, what were you doing? By the way, it looks like you're not doing anything. It looks like you were not doing squat. So what the hell were you doing? So in a way, they had to release this kind of statement to say it was 8,938. A conservative number. What an insult, really. And it is really, it's really sad to see these numbers. It's not only the deaths that we saw when we're inside the Darian, how many people suffered and how many people were when they got out, how many people were sick and they could never recover, malaria, dengue, but more than what I saw in the caravans, children dehydrating. That was bad. That was really bad. When you were seeing children dehydrated, and they died out of dehydration. So when you actually see that, you're like, "Ugh." It's not only when they get kidnapped, when they get extortion, in Central America, but it's not only on the Darian Gap. It's not only try to cross through Honduras, Nicaragua, Mexico, the border with Guatemala, Tapachula, walking on caravans. It's not only that. When they get to the border with Mexico and the United States, they get kidnapped by the cartel. Another thing that they got to be worried about. All of those things. All of the above. And you come out and you say 8,936 around the globe. The most ridiculous thing, around the globe, of people that they have died, migrants that they have died, migrating. That's a huge lie. There's a comment right here saying, E. Darcy says USAID. Let me put the comment on the screen, people to see it. USAID should have been dissolved a long time ago. It's been the funneling link for many crimes. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's right there on top. Texas Grown. It's on top. The Buy Me a Coffee link is on the top of the chat. It's pinned on the chat right there. Thank you so much for your contributions. Buy Me a Coffee is right there. Thank you so much. It's and right now that in Mexico you're seeing all of this disaster in terms to the missing people. The extermination camp that it was found, the actual situation of murders and continuous assassinations, which is going on in Culiacan, the war that is going on in Culiacan with the cartel. It's a disaster. It tells you that the level of aggressiveness when it comes to violence, according to the United Nations, they don't even know squad. But in accordance to every country where the migrants are walking and walking and walking, they're experiencing so many levels of violence and so many levels and so many different types of crimes, right? And this is incentivized. This is what I'm saying. This is incentivized by the United Nations and the UNHCR and all these international organizations. So when they cross the Darian Gap, they experience the Darian jungle. You're, possibly going to live, possibly you're going to die. You don't even know. You cross the jungle. You're like, all right, I made it. Now what? Go to Costa Rica, pay to get, to the other border, Honduras, Nicaragua, then pay the cartel to not get, to basically, quote unquote, protect you, to get you to the border of Mexico, and then traffic you into Mexico, then pay the other cartel to get you to another place and to pass you through all these different, barriers and inspection points through Mexico, then pay the other cartel to get you to the border with Mexico and the United States. You're like, gotta be kidding me. Man, this is a process. This is a legal process. And along the way, is there the United Nations denouncing all of these inspection points? Man, what are you afraid of? You're a protector of the world, right? And you're sucking on the teat of this human misery, millions of dollars, and you're the number one organization that is receiving millions and millions of dollars. Why you're not informing of this crimes against humanity that is going on? But if you go to the United Nations page, you're going to see all this inclusion, all this like, oh my God, today there was a la la la, and we added the inclusion agenda, and there was a trans, and there was this, and there was that. So they're gonna, that will make front page. People actually having a hard time dying, migrating, trafficking, abuse. They will not say that at all. Of course not going to say that. Of course not. They're going to say that at all. But what they're going to say is that, hey, you know what? We need more money. We need more money. We need money. We need access. And we want to have the premise for everything that is going on. It's crazy. Absolutely nuts. So now they're reporting 8,938 people. God's sake, what a lie. There is a comment right here. Yes. No, that's not you. This right here. Is it still Cartel de Sinaloa inner fighting between los Mallitos and los Chapitos in Culiacán? Yes. They actually arrested one of the leaders of los Chapitos just today. And this guy was right-hand operandi for another guy that they're after them also. There's a war. The government of Mexico doesn't talk about that war because it's the territory of the boss, El Mayo, the boss of the government of Mexico. It's not the boss of nobody else. It's the boss of the government of Mexico. How's everybody doing? Thank you so much. I'm not going to drop names. Please stop mentioning, the organized crime names. Gets you into a lot of problems. How's everybody doing? And I live over here in Mexico, so, I'm sorry about that. So everybody doing, thank you so much for joining in. Oscar Blue for Real America's Voice News. It is 32 minutes going into this live feed. Blessings to all of you. And let's see how this goes. And let's see how this turns out. The only thing that I'm waiting is the crimes against humanity against Alejandro Mayorkas. That is what we're waiting. The guy, basically, they just took away his protection. So let's see how he is going to handle the pressure. God bless you guys. Thank you so much for joining in tonight. The topic was real, important. I think that it's important for everybody to know how the United Nations is trying to smokescreen this. And it's trying to downplay the numbers according to the people that they have. According to the people that they have died, this year. So, it's just a complete insult. That number is an insult, man. Thank you so much. Give it a like to the video, share the video, like the video, share the video, like the video. And buy me a coffee is right there and pin in the chat. There's a question right here. It's okay, Texas grown. I understand. Question. In Mexico, are you innocent until proven guilty, or do you have to prove your innocence? Let me tell you what happened a couple of days ago. This news went into the city of Tijuana. Let me just tell you how bad it is. Our laws, how they have changed so much. So there's these types of 7-Elevens that are called Oxxos, right? OXXO, OXXO. So what happened was that it was 10 o'clock at night. They were closing the store. All of a sudden, in the store, inside of the store, you had two workers. You had a male, young male, and a female. So these two guys go in the store just 10 minutes before they were about to close. Immediately, they get into the counter, and they said, this is an assault. And they had two knives. And they try to stab one of the ladies. So the guy courageously takes away the knife of the guy that tried to stab the lady, because the lady didn't want to give her phone, apparently. So he tried to stab her. He took away the knife. And he went at it with the other guy, right? The other guy ran off because he said, oh, my God, we blew it. We're on camera. We're not going to get it in. I thought that it was going to be easy. I'm out. So the other guy tries to get into a scuffle with this guy, and because it was on on defense, he stabbed his leg. He was defending himself, right? He took away his knife from the robber and he stabbed him on the leg. He got out. He passed out outside of the store, and he actually died later on that night. Look how bad it is. Right now, they're trying to process the guy that actually defended and he worked on the store. The authorities are investigating him because he defended his life and he defended her colleague's life from not getting killed. And he's being investigated. Isn't it incredible and so unfair? Michael Siegel, Oscar, we would know or understand very little about the reality of migration and trafficking without your excellent reporting. Thank you so much. Oh my God, thank you. God bless you. God bless you. Who are we talking about? It was an example. So thank you so much for joining in. That's just an example, hypothetical. It's not hypothetical example. It's an example that actually happened a couple of days ago over here. So sad. It's like it gets you into a point that you're like, you gotta be kidding me. This is not, what the hell is going on? No. That's incorrect. But it's the reality. That's the reality. Same in the US, victims are arrested. Yeah. Well, in some cases, right? God bless you guys. Thank you so much for joining in. Thank you. It's 9:23 over here. We have almost 900 people on the live. Almost 38 minutes going into this live. I just wanted to come in here and do a, basically give you guys perimeter of what the United States is, the United Nations is plastering and is saying that there's only this amount of people that have died on the year 2024. That is a complete oblivious lie. But more than that, stay safe. And like we always say, people, God's plan, it is our mission. We will see each other next time. Thank you so much.